Most Excel users are only using 10% of what Power Query can actually do. And in this video, I want to show you the other 90%. I'm going to walk you through 5 functions in Power Query that almost nobody knows exists. Each one of them guaranteed to save you time. If that sounds good, let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Mike. I'm a senior finance leader turned automation expert, and over the last decade, I've helped companies everywhere from startups to the Fortune 100 automate more than 20,000 hours of work out of their processes. And today, I want to help you do the same. I'm going to walk you through step by step to understand how to use these 5 Power Query functions that will save you a ton of time. Now, this video on Power Query is going to be more intermediate to advanced, and you have to understand how Power Query works because I'm just going to be skipping past the Power Query basics. If you don't know Power Query, I've got a great video. I'm going to put the link right here. This video is going to teach you how to use the basics of Power Query in 20 minutes or less and get you ready for this video. So again, if you're new to Power Query, make sure to check out that video before you watch this one. Make sure to click the link down in the description. I'm going to have a link to all of the practice files. I'll also send you a guide to 15 5-minute finance automations totally free. Again, click the link down in the description to get the Power Query practice file as well as 15 5-minute finance automations. With that said, let's get started. So before we dive into secret number 1, which is going to be row level functions, let me just show you quickly what we're working with. I'm going to go to data and queries and connections. I've already got the data loaded. Again, this assumes you know the basics of Power Query. We're going to be working with point of sale data for the F9 Finance coffee shop. So I've got my transactions, I've got my point of sale data loaded in, and then I've got a few mapping tables. I've got product pricing, product mapping, so my categories. I've got my time of day because I don't need to look at every hour. I look at kind of meal periods. And then I've got products that were discontinued but keep showing up in the POS data that we'll want to look out for later. So I've already got all of that imported. And now we're going to work on row level functions, which is secret number 1. I want to show you 3 things. The first is the each function. This is going to help you define row level logic. There's going to be try otherwise, a brilliant function that will help you avoid crashes by giving an alternate option. It's almost like if error in Excel. And then number from, which will force any text you have into a usable number in case you have data that's mixed between text and numbers, but should be numerical. So let's go ahead and look at this. We're going to go to data, get data, and we're going to launch our Power Query editor. All right, and now I want to go to transactions, and I'm going to want to build the most stable function I can to calculate revenue. Because this is a point of sale system, it gives me my price under unit price, and it gives me my transaction quantity, but not the sales. So we need to calculate it, but the point of sale systems are sometimes known for throwing in random values, nulls, data stored as text, so we want to make sure we're cleaning it up as we go. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to go to add column, and we're going to add a custom column. I'm going to call this column sales. And then I'm going to put in my function, which is going to be each. So on every single row, we're going to go to number from. That's the function that will make sure we pull anything as a number. Then we're going to do our unit price column. Close that off. We're going to multiply that by our transaction quantity. Close that off. And then we're going to say otherwise, if that doesn't work, if I can't get that, if I get an error, give me a null just so that the data completes itself. No syntax errors have been detected. We'll go ahead, hit OK. It's going to process for us. So there's our column for sales. All of it is very nice and clean, and we can know that everything in here is going to be a number or a null with no errors. So great use of those 3 functions. Have any questions so far? Go ahead and leave them down in the comments. I read and respond to every single one, and I'm more than happy to help. Secret number 2 are list functions, and these are so powerful to allow you to quickly audit your data set without having to review them. This is especially helpful as your data sets get bigger and bigger. I mean, I've worked up into the 5, 6, 7 million rows. As you get these bigger data sets, you just can't look through the data to make sure it's okay. You have to have ways to do it fast, and Power Query can do that for you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for duplicates. So let's go ahead and go back to the Power Query editor. We're going to go to get data, launch the Power Query editor, and the first thing we're going to do is add a blank query so we can look for duplicates. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new query, other source, blank query. That's also kind of a secret that a lot of people don't know, is that you can add blank queries and just write the code yourself. We're going to go to the advanced editor. Now I'm going to copy and paste this in so you don't have to watch me type it out. All right, so we're going to let, if the source is the transaction ID, there should not be duplicate transaction IDs. So if there are duplicates, it's going to come back and give me a false. If there are not duplicates, it's going to come back and give me a true. So that's what this is going to do. It's going to run this function, and this query is going to return true or false. First of all, let's go ahead and rename our query. We'll call this duplicate so we know we're checking for duplicates. It returned false. False means that we do not have any duplicates. If it was true, true would be telling us that true, yes, it is true, there are duplicates. So because it's false, we don't need to do anything else. It's safe, but we can come check this anytime we have the data update to make sure we don't need to run some additional cleaning. Now we're going to use the list contains function to look for any data that shouldn't be in here. As I mentioned earlier, we've got some discontinued items that keep showing up in the point of sale. They're discontinued, so we shouldn't be selling any. So we want to flag these so we can keep a closer eye on them, because again, they shouldn't be in our data set. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go to add column. I'm going to add a custom column. And again, I'm going to paste this in because it's a little longer. I don't want you to have to watch me type it. So if the product detail list right here, if the product detail list contains any values from our discontinued table, which has 3 products on it, it's going to flag them in our data set. We'll go ahead, we'll hit OK. Now it comes back with true and false. I'll go ahead and I'll load this. You'll notice the query is taking a while. Remember that. We're going to come back to that for secret number 3, because now that we've added some of these custom functions, it's going to take a lot longer to run, but there's a way we can fix that. So good. So right now from the data set, it came back with just false. There's no true values in here to filter. It hasn't found any of the data we don't want in here. So even though we've been seeing that issue, it looks like we might have cleaned it up. But a great way to make sure, you can look for this for restricted vendors, for customers you don't want to do business with, for VIP customers if you want to do it the other way. All kinds of really cool things you can do with this function to look for things in a list and identify them in another query. Now the last list and table function allows you to create a profile. So I'm going to go create a new blank query, and it's going to evaluate and give me all kinds of statistics about this data set. So we'll go to our blank query. I'm going to take my formula. It's going to be a very simple one. It's going to be equals, if the table profile pulls from the transactions, we'll hit OK. And this is going to run a really nice table, giving us a lot of facts and figures about the data set, so we don't have to evaluate it. So we've gotten our table profile back. So what you'll see is for every single column, we're getting a lot of information. We're getting the minimum, the maximum, the average, the standard deviation. This lets us look for major outliers in the data we may need to adjust for, a count of the rows to understand if there's any missing values in a given row, a count of the nulls, and a count of the distinct values in each row. So a lot of great information. We're able to look across 150,000 rows in seconds and look for anything where we might need to do some additional cleaning on the data. A great check to make sure that your big data sets are clean and ready to use, or if you need to go back and do some additional work on them. So now secret number 3 is performance enhancement. As I mentioned in secret number 2, as we start adding in these calculated columns and doing different things to make our lives easier, we can slow down Power Query. That's because of a concept called table folding. The best way for Power Query to work is to let the source system handle a lot of the data extraction. That works great if you're using things like SQL or Snowflake where you're pulling from databases, but even when using those data sources, it's easy to break them. You can break table folding as soon as you start adding in all of these custom calculations. It'll work to that point and then it will break. But what we can do is we can buffer to speed up our file. That means we're going to tell it, hey, this upstream data, it's not going to change. So buffer it, just like your YouTube or your Netflix would buffer, store it, and don't call on it every single time we change something. And that's going to dramatically speed up this file when we know that at any given time, so like we've closed a month end, our data is not going to change. So let me show you how to do this. We're going to go to Data, we're going to go back to Get Data and launch our Power Query editor. And now I'm going to go to my big query that's slowing things down, which is transactions. So I want to go up here to the advanced editor and find my original query. So this is where I am querying from my transactions. You will be amazed how easy this is for how much value it adds. I'm just going to add table buffer. I'm going to wrap it in parentheses, and I'm going to hit OK. And that's going to buffer my main file and speed this up 70 to 80%. One line of data, and now everything is going to flow so much smoother. So remember, if you have a data set that you don't need live every single time you refresh the file, add in the buffer so it runs it once, and then you can do all of your other work and always go back and remove it if you need to. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I post brand new videos every single Monday, and I don't want you to miss a thing. Secret number 4 is that you can actually build and save reusable functions to call on in Power Query. Just like you can use Lambda functions in Excel, if you weren't aware of Lambda functions, you can also build your own functions and call on them in Excel. You can do the same thing in Power Query with reusable functions. This makes it so much easier to audit your files. This makes it so much easier to hand off your files. So let's look at how to do that with a simple example of how we calculate sales tax. So again, we're going to go to Get Data. We're going to launch our Power Query editor. And now I'm going to go and I'm again going to add a new query, and this will be a blank query. I'm going to call this query sales tax, and then I'm going to open the advanced editor and I'm going to post my formula. So here's my formula. I'm going to copy and paste it so you don't have to watch me type it, but we're going to let, so it's always let and in. So what do I want to make true, and then where do I want it to run? So we're going to let function calculate sales tax. That's our name we're defining. It's going to be a sales amount as a nullable number. So I'm going to tell it what column I want to pull in. That's going to be my sales amount, and it can be any nullable number. I'm going to let that, so this is kind of a nested let function, clean sales if the sales amount is null, then 0. Otherwise, pull the sales amount. The tax rate is going to be 0.07 because I want the actual sales tax. That's my fixed rate. I can also reference it, but for this case, it's going to be a fixed rate. Then the tax is going to be the clean sales times the tax rate. That's going to happen in tax, which is this function, and it's going to happen in this function, calculate sales tax, which is this function. So again, kind of a nested let function. We'll go ahead, hit done, and that's going to run for us. Now I'm going to go back to transactions, because again, this is a function I can call on. I'm going to come over to the end. I'm going to go to add column, and I want to hit invoke custom function. Would put money down that you've probably seen this button and had no idea what it did. That wouldn't surprise me because that's how I was. I looked at this button for years and had no idea what it did. So we're going to call this new column sales tax. I want to use the function query sales tax. Now it knows I need the sales amount, so that sales amount is going to be in sales. So that sales amount is going to be in sales. We'll hit OK, and now it's going to calculate our sales tax. And it's going to calculate it fast because we buffered the main data. That would have taken 3 or 4 minutes to calculate if we hadn't buffered. And here's our sales tax. So does this make sense? Yeah, so $6, 42 cents is 7% of $6. Amazing. But you can actually take this one step further. Secret number 5 is actually building a function library with multiple custom functions that you can then use as a master template to use across workbooks. So let's look at how we can set that up so we can always have kind of a data cleaning library we can pull in. So I'm going to go to another workbook because, again, I can't reference these. I have to pull them into the workbook. So you can do that either by copying and pasting the code, or what I like to do is I just maintain a Power Query master file that has my commonly used functions in it. I open all of my Power Query files in that. I use that as the starting point, copy it off, and then I've got them all ready to go. So we're going to go to Data. We're going to go to Get Data. We're going to launch our Power Query editor. Now this is a totally clean workbook, but we're going to add a new group just so we have these separately. This is going to be my data cleaning toolbox. And then in here, I'm going to go ahead and add a new query, other sources, blank query, and we'll start adding these in. So I've got several that I like to use. The first one is going to help you clean vendor name, whether you call them customers or vendors. This is going to help you clean vendors to make sure that the data is clean. Now you'll see kind of a common format. Again, these are nested like the ones we saw before. It's going to do a couple of things. If it's null, it's going to blank it out. It's going to make the text proper with correct capitalization. It's going to replace with text if it's kind of questionable what the data format is, and then it's going to trim it to remove any white spaces. It'll also pull out any commas, so hopefully if your data is kind of mismatched, sometimes people type in a period, a comma, add extra spaces, it'll get as much of it the same as possible before you do anything. So that's going to be our vendor function. I'm going to go ahead and call this my clean vendor. All right, then we're going to go up here. We're going to do it again. I'm going to add a new query. It's going to be a blank query. This one is going to be my date. This is going to help me clean up my dates if I'm having any issues. All this is just kind of that initial pass at data cleaning, and then you can go in and do anything additional you need to do. So this is going to make sure our dates are clean, are in a date format, and pull out any other data that doesn't belong. We'll hit done. We're going to call this one clean date. You'll see these are all just adding to our data cleaning toolbox. I'm going to do another one, new query, other sources, blank query. I'm going to go get my standardized text. So this is going to be applied to anything with text to make sure that all the text makes sense. All right, so if there's any issues in the text, it's going to remove symbols, it's going to remove spaces. If there's a null, it's just going to make it a blank. We'll hit done. We'll call this one clean text. And then lastly, we're going to have one to just clean values broadly. So this is, again, our initial pass at data cleaning. It'll save you a lot of time because I'd say in 90% of cases, I find that this is all I need to do. The other 10% of cases, we have to go in and do some manual manipulation. And this is going to be our function for, this is going to clean up our amounts. So same thing, we'll go put it here. This is going to make sure that everything is in an amount. Otherwise, it's going to blank it out. We'll hit done, and we will call that clean the amounts. And now you've got a data cleaning toolkit that you can apply. You can start every workbook with this and make sure you've got a mostly clean data set and then do the last 10% of the work. If you've enjoyed this video, I've got another video on Power Pivot tricks that I really think you need to check out. I'll put the link right up here. Power Query and Power Pivot work so well together. If you know hacks for both, you are going to be an automation rock star. I'll catch you over in that video. Until then, this is Mike signing off from F9 Finance. Cheers.